Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 vs 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's gonna be Eris, the top Zerg bot, taking on arguably the top Terran bot, DominionDog, and the top Terran bot by rank. And yeah, we're just gonna... I hesitate a little bit to say DominionDog is the top Terran bot, just from the well-roundedness factor, but the devs are putting in an incredible amount of effort to get it there. So, I mean, and yeah, it's not like DominionDog has big fails too often or anything like that. So yeah, it is the top Terran bot. And so we are on Gresvin, the AI edition. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this match, go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. If we can hit, I messed up. I usually use the timer for the like goal. Okay, if we can hit 70 likes for 70 seconds into this game, that would be amazing. And if you guys can leave a comment down below saying more bots, that goes a long way to helping out the channel. Or you can just write whatever you want, whatever kind of gibberish the first thing that pops into your mind. And yeah, so we've got a TVZ between a bot that likes to macro up and just reach 200 supply and attack versus a Terran bot that likes to go for early aggression sometimes, but then also has incredible macro behind it. So we'll just have to wait and see how these two are going to clash. It's always exciting to watch a match between DominionDog and Eris because the devs are both very active. And I think they're both devs that they look at individual games and they're like, oh, we shouldn't lose to that. And then they adjust their bot accordingly. So it's a bit of an arms race between these two, it seems. So we've got DominionDog saying, well, letting us know all its chat tags: generic begin scout, Zerg begin scout, scouting normal, Zerg early air. The Reaper comes on in for DominionDog. We'll see if it can get a drone or not. However, the Lings of Eris come on in to chase that Reaper away. It looks just like a human match, aside from all the little clicks that go on all over the place. The Queen pops out, though. She will show the Reaper the door. DominionDog behind this is just getting up that natural base, getting up that factory in the racks. Meanwhile, both these bots are just speed mining away. For those of you that don't know, these StarCraft 2 bots, most of them anyway, most of the bot authors have implemented speed mining, which basically makes it so your bot mines, I think it's like 7% more or something around that, because of the speed. The rapid clicking messes with the acceleration or the deceleration. I'm sure there's a better write-up of it on the SC2 AI Discord if you guys want to check that out. As everyone over there is great, as it's just a community filled with lots of passion for supporting. Lots of passion for supporting the bot scene. Everyone's always helping each other out. So if you do want to take a shot at programming a bot, I'm sure there's plenty of guides out there, but then if you have specific questions, I imagine there's some individuals who may be willing to help you out on that one. We've got Burrow on the way for Eris, a very good defensive Zerg tool, great at saving drones. We have seen it in the past how it is. We've seen it in the past how it can sometimes cause more harm than good when drones are left buried for long periods of time when they'd have been better off mining or better off just losing a few drones. Of course, it is a pretty darn good catch-all. Now we've got DominionDog just charging in with its Hellions like a madman. The drones for Eris panic, pull off the line, and run towards the fire, which you're never supposed to do. And all in all, we did only see 6 drones go down. So the 4 queens shooting away, the drones pulling off the line actually allowed those Hellions to be killed off. 4 for 6 isn't terrible for the Terran. It's not great. If you're a suicidal Terran on the ladder like me, you're generally hoping for like 10 for 4 Hellions. That's a good amount. Now we've got DominionDog coming in with a Banshee. There's no cloak for it, however, yet. And 2 Cyclones are actually moving out on the map as well, though. So this Banshee may be able to cloak, reveal these Queens, and then start picking some of them off. The Queens actually try and chase the Cyclones, so they march off creep and allow themselves to be picked off. So this game between DominionDog and Eris is already heating up. We've had Eris harassing with a Ling, delaying the third of DominionDog for a little bit. Meanwhile, Eris is just trying to secure up its own 4th base. We've got Cyclones being made for DominionDog, which isn't something it's something I don't believe we've seen too much from DominionDog. So I'm excited to see how this works out. Cyclone Banshee can be a very strong composition because they both kind of require different units to deal with them. Like, you almost need Speedlings to get on top of Cyclones, but then, of course, the Banshees can zone out the Lings as they retreat. So it is an interesting dynamic that the bot authors are using here. We've got the 3rd base for DominionDog is attempting to mine as well as it can. However, there is always a Ling for Eris harassing, it seems. The 3rd for DominionDog is established, so not an orbital yet. We've got a 4th base on the way for DominionDog too. Eris has got its 4th up. But both these bots are still in the 50 worker range. Eris would definitely like to increase that number, but it's been having to spend money on units. It's been taking a couple losses here and there to the harassment of DominionDog. As far as units going down, 2 Queens, 19 Lings, nothing too major on either side. So I think we are heading into a healthy macro stage in this game. The 4th base being just about done for DominionDog is very big, though, because 4 SCVs produced at a time can allow you to almost keep pace with the Zerg, it seems, as long as you're constant on that production, which these bots are. These bots, they are always producing, always hitting their macro cycles unless they get glitched out a little bit or something like that. We've got a 5th now on the way for DominionDog as that crazy economic rush continues for both these bots. Eris has got its 5th on the way as well. And it really goes to show for these bot games, if you can make a bot with okay enough defensive capabilities to not have a command center be delayed forever. For example, these 2 Hellions are definitely on Ling duty to prevent Eris just running in the odd Ling and canceling a base or delaying a base. So they're really paying for themselves, and Eris sort of operates on the same principles, just defend and expand. And so we've got 2 bots that are both already on 5 bases, macroing up incredibly quickly. 90 drones for Eris, whereas DominionDog is still on 78, which is a very healthy number for the Terran. Orbitals are being produced, and we do have Hellions chasing down those Lings, which is very impressive. The defensive behavior with the Hellions for DominionDog has been really on point. Like, Lings have been coming in, trying to harass SCVs, but DominionDog has been reacting pretty much right away. Cyclones almost killing Overseer there. We've got more Lings just running all over the place for Eris. DominionDog now has to respond to some harassment at its 3rd base. There's Hellions there. The Lings for Eris really aren't going for blood, just trying to get an SCV or 2. DominionDog, though, is looking pretty solid through and through. Both of these bots, however, do have to build up their armies a little bit. As we see a skirmish, DominionDog picks off a few Hydras while the numbers are lower, which is important because Eris, once it reaches a high Hydra count, it will be a little concerning to take on with just Cyclones and Banshees. So DominionDog kind of wants to buy time till it has that ridiculously strong economy. As we've got more Ling harassment going down on this base as Eris continues to try that time and time again. I mean, all these bases are mining pretty effectively for DominionDog. Banshees being produced, another command center being built. I love the Hellion just being parked to help deal with the odd Ling that would come in to try and delay this base. And then Eris behind this is getting up its own 6th base. So these bots are expanding pretty much at the same time. The Zerg and Terran are both building up their armies, and it is taking a little bit because, I mean, they were both at like 120 supply when they hit 90 workers, and even on 80-90 workers, it still takes a while to build up that maxed out army. We're seeing upgrades come across the board. 2-2 on the way for the Banshees for DominionDog. It's getting out Hellbats. I would love to see Blue Flame for those Hellions potentially if they're going to keep getting produced. But all in all, this really is quite an exciting match because I think once these bots start fighting, they're not going to stop at this point. Banshees are killing off lots of Hydras. However, the Overseers are present for Eris, so it really is just a trade. Banshees against Hydras. The Banshees do surprisingly okay there. I'm not going to say good, but they did all right by not all dying immediately. We do have Mutas on the way for Eris. Mutas are very good anti-Banshee tools. More powerful in the hands of a bot than they are in the hands of a human, because the humans, I mean, you can only focus on one thing at a time, whereas a bot can just assign a Muta to a Banshee and basically chase it down until the end of time. We're seeing mass spores get built for Eris as well. I'm a big fan of that, seeing as how DominionDog likes its Banshees. We've got a single Ling being a nuisance. This Raven is just hanging out. We'll see if that's going to respond to that. I just was curious if it was going to drop a turret against that Ling. I didn't want to ignore this fight for too long that's going on down here, though. Cyclones are still alive and locking on to some of these Zerg units, getting pickoffs. Let's take a look at the resources lost. It's 9,000 to 4,800, so the trades are actually looking pretty darn good for DominionDog. Eris is now teching up, though, getting into Vipers, getting adrenal glands on the way. 2-2 isn't done for the Zerg yet, whereas it's done for the Terran, so we'll just have to wait and see where these trades are going to land. The constant Ling harassment from Eris is really impressive, but just as impressive is the response by DominionDog with these Hellions chasing down the Lings. This almost seems to be just anti-Eris play, as, yeah, DominionDog is really doing well for itself. We've got these Mutas present to try and zone out the Banshees, but then there's Vikings in the sky to shoot down those Mutas. The Hydras are having a hard time standing against the Banshees because they're seemingly just outnumbered. It's 16 Banshees. They clump up super effectively in the hands of a bot. At the same time, that clumping could come back to bite them if there is fungals, and there is one fungal that goes down, but I think we're going to need to see more for Eris, and the Zerg bot is actually falling down in supply. There's Vipers present now, so we can see parasitic bombs, but I mean, only one Viking gets hit, so we'll have to wait and see if we get more parasitic bombs getting tossed down. Some of the Banshees do get hit. They do split away and end up heading on home for the most part, it seems. So Eris took a lot of damage, lost tons and tons of units. Its economy is still 81 drones, though, so there is potential for the Zerg to come back, as it did buy some time forcing these Banshees home. Where did they go to get repaired? There we go. This is the repair station. Soon enough, those Banshees will be getting back on in there. We've got a Muta just hanging out for Eris. May be able to delay this base a little bit. We'll have to wait and see. The Zerg bot, though, is still in a very perilous position, being down to 50 army supply against 118. We need to see more, I think more Infestors, maybe more Vipers, and just a big old ball of Hydras. It's not that simple, though, when it comes to programming the bot movements, because, I mean, yeah, it's just so hard to wrap your head around how the logic these bot authors have to program into their bots, how they move their armies so they won't just take losses for nothing. We've got multiple parasitic bombs going down. The Vikings don't seem to care as they just charge on in, picking off critical Vipers, chasing the Mutas away. They're even going to land Heart of the Swarm cinematic style in the upper right. Meanwhile, the Banshees are doing lots of work still, and I'm not sure Eris is the army it needs to deal with this. I mean, there's only 7 Hydras out. The Vipers went down. The Zerg is producing more Hydras, more drones. It's still got up a solid 6 bases, and we're even seeing a bit of a counterattack towards the left side of the map. So Eris finally getting some licks in. Meanwhile, it's been on the defensive most of this game. We've got Banshees coming on in. They don't care about Spore Crawlers at all, just gunning them down in pretty much one volley. +3 attack on Banshees, deal lots of damage. And it really is incredible that a bot has been allowed, well, been capable, I shouldn't, almost allowed to just make so many Banshees, to group them up. And then, I mean, it eats the odd fungal here and there, but then it just pulls them home and repairs them, or just simply makes another 10 because it's on an 80 SCV mass command center, mass mule economy. The Banshees are coming on in once again. So many of them are in the red, though, and they may want to skedaddle on out of there. And look at that, the Banshees escape. There's just, like, there is always a fungal or two, but there's never enough to seemingly get the big cleanup that Eris needs. The Banshees head on home, and they're going to all be repaired in just a minute or so. Maybe even less than that. And Eris is just having a hard time maxing out on its supply. It's rebuilding Spore Crawlers, which is important. It's getting out more Hydras. The Zerg bot is at 150 supply. I think if Eris was given the time of day to max out and reach 200 supply, that would be big. But I mean, like, Eris was just about at 200 supply when these fights really kicked off. The problem is, though, it didn't necessarily have enough infestors. A fungal goes down, but it misses the bigger portion of the Banshees. Hydras are grouped up behind a Spore Crawler. They're doing a pretty good job staying alive for now. Meanwhile, we've got more Ling harassment pulling some of those Banshees away. DominionDog responds once more. 63 SCVs have died this game, but 260 Lings, a lot of them in the run-bys, have perished as well. So I don't think that's terrible for DominionDog. We've got a base potentially going to go down. Hydras on the ground are shooting at Vikings in the sky, but then there's Banshees. There's just too much for them to deal with here. And DominionDog is just really impressive with its aggression, as it, like, yeah, DominionDog is just so darn good with this economic play. Like, when you think of a bot that gets a good economy and attacks, you think of Eris, but DominionDog is kind of the Terran equivalent of that, as it just starts, like, the trades may not necessarily be the best, except they actually are good trades, since it's just been brutally murdering Eris. But then it's, yeah, so, like, the level of trades it gets with the Banshees, and then just the economy and the rate that it does it, it kind of overwhelms the opponent. Banshee's taking some damage. They're getting chased on home. The problem is Eris is knocked down to 52 drones, only 5 bases, but one of them's not really mining. And so, yeah, I'm not really sure what Eris needs to do, whether it's just to get out spellcasters faster, maybe build some extra Spore Crawlers. I really don't know. Maybe try and slow DominionDog down a bit, but we did see the attempted Ling run-bys, and DominionDog dealt with those. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe Eris, yeah, maybe there is some potential changes Eris can make, but there's nothing really glaringly obvious to me, which is the thing that makes DominionDog so scary. Like, I know I started talking off the video, like, is DominionDog the best bot there is? Or the best Terran bot there is? And, I mean, it's pretty darn well-rounded. Like, when it first climbed the ladder, it's like, okay, does this thing just build Reapers and Hellions and win the game that way? But no, it's looking pretty darn good. And so, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for tuning in. If you watched all the way to the end of this video, as Eris actually GG's out, go ahead and click that like button. Subscribe if you watched all the way to the end of the video, as clearly you liked it. Leave a comment down below saying more bots if you want to see more of these casts. And if you do want to support the channel, there's ways to do that in the description. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning on in.